Whole life I was surrounded, with Terry and Brian McKinney, and so growing up in and around these people, I just used to sit there and just stare. This lady knocked on the window, and then I was like, oh my God, it's Benny's wife. So she goes away, and then she comes back and she's like, I just spoke to Sensei Benny. He's on his way back. He wants to meet you. And then he gave me this address and he goes, just be here tomorrow morning at 9:00. So I was like, okay. I was sat in the front with Benny. I'm looking in the mirror and she's going, what's going on? And I was going, I don't know. Honestly, taking me down to Venice Beach and Santa Monica, and he's like, this is where Arnie's office is, and this is where so-and-so is, and this. It was the most surreal experience that I'd ever had. Gangs of London.
Gangs of London's brilliant, that fight scene. Some people say that's the best fight scene that they've seen in British TV.
Yeah. Jason said to me it's one of his favourite fights. So.
Jason Statham said that was his favourite.
Yeah, so I was like...
Signed off by him then, that's a good thing. On this episode of the Elite Podcast, I speak to Lee Charles, former world kickboxing champion and action movie star. Lee, how are we doing?
I'm good.
Great to see you, mate. Thank you for coming.
Thanks for having me.
Are you right? I know you've literally just come off set, haven't you?
Yeah, last night to go home 2:00 this morning. So
I know. I spoke to you about 11:00, was it? And you're just finishing off set, coming back from London.
Yeah.
What movie? You allowed to say what movie that is?
I can't. Not
you're not allowed to say.
So NDAs and so, but
a big one though.
It's a TV. It's a big TV series.
Is it?
Yeah. So
it's brilliant. Oh, it sounds exciting, mate.
Yeah, I'm excited to. It was an exciting thing to be part of, and it's got a lot of followers and stuff, and I got to work with one of my favourite actors. So
are you allowed to say who that is?
Can't.
Yeah.
Oh, no, I know. It's dead annoying. So give it 12 months. I'll be
no problem.
Spitting out everywhere.
You've done enough other things we can talk about today anyway, which is great. So what I'm going to do, if it's okay with you, is we'll regress. Talk about where you grew up, because I know you're from Liverpool. You're from over the
I'm from the Wirral, yeah.
From the Wirral.
Yeah.
Yeah, so what are they classed as? They're not walls, are they? Is that a wall, is it? So
Probably.
We're obviously in Liverpool podcast studios at the minute, aren't we? So, and I live in Liverpool now, but I'm neither. So I am a Scouser, even though I'm not a Scouser. I moved here and I'm like, these are my people. They're all outspoken. They're overconfident, got something to say about everything, but also really friendly and will talk to anyone. I thought, flipping out, I found my tribe. I love people, and it's the same. The walls are the same, aren't they?
I wouldn't move from here. So I love it.
Good part of the world to live in. Pop the weather's shit.
Yeah.
I was in London all last week, and the weather was brilliant. Yeah. Were you down that way as well?
Yeah, the weather was.
Bring my wife. She goes, oh, it's shit here. I'm walking the dog with 3 jackets on. I was like, I'm getting a suntan. So you grew up in over the water. Then what
I grew up in Rock Ferry, so it's sort of a low run down area. Grew up in a council estate with obviously my mum and dad, and they had 4 kids, and they were young. So my mum and dad were really young when they had the 4 of us, to be fair, and we just come from that sort of background. My mum and dad really didn't have much, but provided us with the best that they were capable of doing, and I grew up watching my dad. My dad was a bodybuilder, and
was he?
Yeah, so my dad was a bodybuilder.
So you get your physique from them.
He did karate, and he was friends with the likes of Terry O'Neill and Dolphin.
No way, was he?
So my whole life I was surrounded, with Terry and Brian McKinney, and
did you meet them?
Yeah. I think my whole life. I mean, I was petrified of Terry for years. So obviously the stories and the fact that we trained Arnold for Predator and Commando, and so growing up in and around these people, I just used to sit there and just stare, and just be sort of in awe of their presence. Terry is a phenomenal martial artist, I think.
And man, all-round person, isn't he?
I think
achiever.
I think Black Belt magazine said he was the toughest man in the world around about 1986. I think it was about 86, 85, 86. And, so I just sort of, I had this influence from my dad, and it was my dad that got me into the martial arts. So he introduced me to Bruce Lee when I was when I was a small kid, and that was it. My obsession began there.
Yeah, as it did for many of us, I think, wasn't it? Yeah.
I think our generation was spoiled because
100%.
You know, in and around that time, it was just, you know, we were at the sort of the back end of the Bruce Lee phenomenon. You know, and the likes of Jackie Chan come out, and you had your Chuck Norris's, and you know, you sort of had this massive influx of martial art movies, which sort of inspired just, I think, everyone.
A whole generation, didn't it?
Yeah, massively.
And then off the back of that as well, when we were like teenagers, there was like the second wave, wasn't there? You had the Van Dammes, Dolph Lundgrens, you know.
Lauren Avedon. You know, like, you know, as I said to you last night on the phone, the weirdest thing about this is, like, a lot of these have become my friends.
Yeah.
Like, and it's it's so strange to be in that in that world where, you know, I've grew up idolizing these people, and you know, my mentors that I've gone on to become friends, and you know, I call them friends. You know, Benny the Jet, Benny Hookie, that's massive part of my life, massive influence in getting me to where I am today. But to you know, to be able to take my dad, who started me in the martial arts, and you know, be able to take him and introduce him to Bill Wallace and Cynthia Rodrock, and it's just, you know, I say that all the time. Like, I think sometimes you take things for granted, and it just becomes you sort of normalize it, but it's like not really normal.
No, yeah.
You know,
do you get starstruck?
Yeah,
because I know. Because I've known you for a long time, haven't I?
Yeah.
I remember going to your gym. It must have been one of your first ones. It probably might have even been like maybe 20 years ago.
Yeah, probably was.
Probably like, I mean, when we were both like active and both fighting, and you were like the biggest fight fan ever. I remember going to your gym, and you had pictures of anyone who was anyone in martial arts, whether it was a top level tournament fighter, points fighter, full contact ones, celebrities within martial arts, and you had a whole like wall, didn't you?
Yeah, my wall of fame.
And how ironic now that it's probably you on other people's walls.
Yeah.
You come from like the ultimate fight fan, a martial arts enthusiast, and what just followed that, and then it all kind of unfolded.
Yeah, I think it's just, I think I've always been, for me, I've always been a bit of a nerd, a bit of a geek, and I think, you know, as I say, growing up in our generation, we had magazines every month. You know, we were fortunate to be able to pick up their magazines, whether it be Fighters, Martial Arts Illustrated, Combat, Black Belt magazine, you know, and you know, Fighting Arts, Terry O'Neill's Fighting Arts, and it's also created this created this sort of group of elite people that you looked up to. And I always seen getting the opportunity to being around people and learn, it was just phenomenal. You know, obviously, you know, you look back to the days when we used to compete, and, you know, there's yourselves, Robbie, Michael, Drew, you know, it was like, you know, you'd sit there and you'd watch, and you'd be like, oh, Jesus Christ, you know, it was just amazing. It was amazing to being around them people. And I always took inspiration from, I take inspiration from most of the people that I'm around, because I think everyone's got something to offer. But being around them sort of talented individuals who were dedicating their time, and we were in a sport where we didn't get paid. We just did it. We did it because we loved it.
Quite the opposite, wasn't it?
Yeah,
it cost us a fortune, wasn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, I think as you come towards the latter end of everyone's careers, we sort of started to be able to do stuff for nothing.
Yeah.
Which was quite nice. And every now and then we got...
We made up, when it? Some paid your hotel for you.
Yeah, we got a bit more. Got a bit of money.
Lifestyle.
But to be around like individuals and see that talent, and even now, you know, getting the opportunity to do what I do now, you see it, and you like every day, you just can't help but be inspired by it, and make it. It sort of it helped me make me who I am, because I just took from him, and I could see the dedication, I could see the hard work, I could see the sort of commitments, the desire to push forward. And then it just sort of, you know, I was like, oh, you know, I just want a little bit of this. I want to be like that. You know, and I'm fortunate to be where I am today because of it.
So because you were teaching, I remember you were teaching, you were fighting, you were active, you were very successful as a fighter. You won many titles and different things as well. So how did you kind of get down that? Because every one of us would love to have done what you've done. Like, that's like the dream, isn't it? To have gone on TV and to have done. So how did the doors open? How did you first get like
for me? I went to LA in about 2005. And I went over there to train. I just like for me, LA was the base of where all the top people were. So you had the Reed brothers, Baz Rutten, everyone was there. And Benny Urquidez. So I remember emailing Benny. It was when we used to have to dial email, so it used to take about 3 weeks for everything to go through and
how did
everything
you
to
get
go back.
Benny's email?
So I can't remember. I just can't remember.
A seminar or something?
No, I think it was just his gym email.
Oh, okay.
So I emailed the gym and I was like, I'm coming over to LA. Is there any chance I can come and do some training at the gym? So they messaged back and he was like, yeah, no problem. Let us know when you get here and stuff. And for me, I just, like in my head, I thought, I'm going to go there. I just want pictures in his gym. He's one of my heroes. And I want to, do some fancy kicks and stand outside and go, here's his logo. But proper geeked up. And I got to LA. And as soon as I arrived in a hotel, I phoned straight away. And I was like, I've just arrived. Can I come tomorrow? And you were like, yeah.
So he's really humble and accommodating for you.
Yeah, it was one of the guys that worked there. And they were like, yeah, no problem. So I went down and I didn't take my bag because I didn't want to be that guy. I didn't want to just turn up with my bag and go, I just,
Who is the toughest in the room?
Yeah. So I sort of went to introduce myself first. And then one of the guys behind the counter, Cody, he was like, have you got your stuff? And I said, I haven't. I said, it's back at the hotel, but, I'll go and get it. And he's like, oh, we got stuff here. So he took me out back and I got some pants from, they used to have a shop in the back of the gym. And I got some pants from in there. They gave me some pants and then they gave me some gloves and then I just took myself off. But he sort of, when I was speaking to him, I felt like I was being interviewed. It was like a
testing
weird,
you out,
it was like a weird thing.
You would do, who's this English guy? What's he called? What's his intentions?
What's his intention to be? Yeah. So I went into, they had this like bag room off the side of the gym. And I was in there, I was just in the bag and then this lady knocked on the window and ended up being Benny's wife. And she's like, oh, Cody just explained that you've come all the way from England to train and stuff. And I was like, yeah. And then I was like, oh my God, it's Benny's wife. So she goes away and then she comes back and she's like, oh, I just spoke to Sensei Benny. He's on his way back. He wants to meet you. So I was like, wait, what? Wow, I was like, wow, this is really weird. So anyway, he comes, he's on his way back. I go and shower and change and then I come out and I'm sitting there like a little kid, waiting at the front of and he come in and we just sat down. I reckon, honestly, I say this all the time. It's probably exaggerated in my head, but I reckon it was like 2.5 hours, and we just sat and chatted. He didn't let anyone interrupt the chat that we were having, and there was more me listening because when you're around him, he's so like
you starstruck a bit.
Yeah, I was just like,
oh, what the heck is going on?
And I was thinking, don't ask any silly questions. I don't even think I could. I think my mouth was that dry.
Yeah.
And then he said to me, he's like, hey Lee, what are you doing whilst you're here? And I said, well, I've got some training sessions. I had the session with Baz booked in and stuff. I said, but other than that, I'm just gonna, if you don't mind, I'll just come here and do some classes and do some one-to-ones. And he's like, yeah. And then he's like, actually, and he went, Cody, write the address down for tomorrow morning. And I was with an ex-girlfriend at the time. She was there, and then he gave me this address and he goes, just be here tomorrow morning at 9:00. So I was like, okay. And then I said my goodbyes and we walked out. And my girlfriend's like, at the time, she's like, so where are you going tomorrow? And I was like, don't know. And she's like, what do you mean you don't know? I was like, don't know. She was like, why didn't you ask? I was like, if Benny the Jet wants me to be here at 9:00 tomorrow morning, I'm going to be there at 9:00 tomorrow morning. So anyway, the next day comes, got the taxi, and it was to Santa Monica and Fairfax, and I was at the Lee Strasberg acting school, where he just took me in and taught me how to do stunts and acting, and the whole time I was there, I was literally there every day. He ended up sort of driving me around everywhere, introducing me to loads of people. I got to meet Scott Weiland from Velvet Revolver and Duff from Guns N' Roses. And I remember being in the car with her at the time, and I was sat in the front with Benny. I'm looking in the mirror and she's going, what's going on? And I was going, I don't know. It was just like, And in my head, I was like I was ringing back to the UK to my parents and stuff. And Benny was my dad's hero, but like everyone loved Bruce Lee. My dad loved Benny because Benny was
He was real. He was got in the ring, improving it in the ring. Yeah.
And my dad was just, and I was telling him, and he's just like, what? And I was like, honestly, and everyone I spoke to was like, what? Like, he was like, he honestly, you know, taking me down to Venice Beach and Santa Monica, and, you know, he showed me where all the gyms were, and, you know, he's like, this is where Arnie's office is, and this is where so-and-so is, and this. And I was like, and then it got like, we went to around Beverly Hills, and he was like, showing me the houses and introducing me to people. And I was just like, it was the most surreal experience that I'd ever had. And I was thinking, wow, you know, this is really strange. And then when I was leaving, I was going to Seattle to visit Bruce Lee's grave. And from LA, I actually went to Vegas first, but I don't like Vegas, so it's not my thing. And then, but I only went to Vegas because it's the fight capital of the world, isn't it? Or it was. Now, obviously, the Saudi. And I just thought to myself, you know, I just want to go and sort of pay a visit. And I was going up to see Bruce Lee in Seattle. And then I was in the gym training, and the phone went, and Benny's wife, Sarah, she's like, it's for you. I was like, who the bloody hell's phoning me at Benny's gym? I was dead confused. I was like, and I got on the phone, and I heard this voice go, hey, Lee. And I recognized the voice straight away. And I was like, hello? And she's like, oh, it's Shannon Lee, Bruce Lee's daughter. She said, Benny and Sarah have told me that you're going to go up and pay your respects to my dad. So I just wanted to say, and I'm on the phone and I'm going, wow, what is going on here? You know, it was honestly, it was crazy. It was nuts. And then obviously as I was leaving, Benny turned around to me. He said, I want you to be my ambassador for the UK and Europe. And I said, thank you, you know, Sensei, I really appreciate it. And then he's like, and you're part of my team now, you're part of my stunt team. And I just thought, this is a nice little gesture. Yeah. For me, you know, it's a nice farewell thing. It's something to hold on to, it's something to keep. And I didn't think nothing of it. And I come back to the UK, and I think I was home for about 3 weeks, and the phone went in the house, because we used to have house phones, didn't we? Yeah. The phone went in the house, and obviously my girlfriend at the time answered it, and she's like, Lee, it's for you. And I was like, who is it? And she's like, it's Benny. And I'm like, Benny who? I was like, I don't know anyone called Benny. And then she was like, it's Benny. And
Benny the Jet.
And I was like, hey, and I come on, and he's like, hey, he said, we're doing a film over in the UK. Can you get a couple of months off work? I want you to be
couple of months off work.
Yeah, I want you to be John Cusack's trainer. I want you to help him train him with me and stuff. And so I went into work.
What film was that for?
1408 it was, with Samuel Jackson.
Oh yeah, so you had to do martial arts for that then?
No, Johnny just trained with.
I love that film, by the way.
He trained with.
Great film, that.
He trained with Benny for years. So he used to train with Don Wilson, and Dom obviously went into a strong career. Passed him over to
so you wanted someone high caliber to keep him just his martial arts training going.
Just while he was there, just to help him out, and you know he asked for me. So I went into work. I had a career at the time, and asked for some time off and a career break. Excuse me, and he said no.
Like they do,
So I quit.
Yeah.
So I thought, you know, I'm not going to have this opportunity again to be presented and be put in front of me. And there's a reason why, obviously, this has happened. And I thought, you know, I'm giving up job security and giving up everything, but I'm never going to have this again. I'm never going to be put in this situation where I've got this incredible thing that can possibly go somewhere and be given this chance. I remember, obviously, you know, I've told people the story and stuff, and you know, before, and everyone's like, "Oh, so you're really lucky then?"
No, you were proactive.
Well, this is the thing that gets me. They go, "Oh, so it was just luck then, really, wasn't it?" Because obviously you went into the gym, and I was like, "Do you know what?" I was like, "You're so right." I said, all them thousands of hours that I dedicated to martial arts and my training and everything that I did that helped me have the confidence to put myself to be able to go there. That was so lucky that I was able to do that. And then they're like, oh, okay. You know, and it's not, you know, you
and the fact that he obviously received you well. He could tell you were a good human, which he obviously is, because that's an amazing level of humility that he's shown you there. But you're a nice guy, and he obviously sensed that, and he's seen the look of you and your skill level.
I couldn't believe it.
Yeah,
you know, to be given that opportunity. and that was it. That was my sort of, you know, I'll be forever grateful for him coming into my life, and you know, we still speak to him now. Still,
you in contact?
Still in contact with him. Still speak to him, and I speak to Cody nearly every day. Me and Cody obviously speak on Instagram and stuff like daily. You know, Cody's still at the Lee Strasberg teaching now.
Yeah.
But just to get that, I mean, to get that
initial kind of break. Was that your initial break then? So you did that with John Cusack, and then
I think
what happened then?
For me, I still continued fighting.
Yeah,
so
you were fighting. How old are you then? Just like as
geez, what am I now?
Mid-20s or
probably mid-20s. Yeah, and I was still competing, and I think I think once you're in that competitive thing, you just want to stick in it.
Yeah, of course.
So I was doing little bits and bobs, and then I think it was about 10 years later, and a friend of mine, Joey Anzar, who played Desh in Bourne, you know, the big fight in Bourne, the main fight, you know, he jumps through the window, and they have Joey got in touch with me and said, "We're doing this movie. You know, we want you to be a part of it."
What movie was that?
It was Green Street 3 with Scott Adkins.
Oh, right.
So I was like, yeah, cool. I said, you know, I'd love to be involved. Obviously, Scott's, you know, big off the back of Boyka and stuff. And then I said, do you need me to audition? He goes, oh, no, you don't need to audition. I know enough about it. And I was like, well, I'll come down anyway. So I went down and did it. And it's dead funny, isn't it? Because like our size. And like, and I was there and I just threw this spin up kick. And they were like, oh, you can kick?
Yeah.
And I was like, I've been doing martial arts since
most people your size though, if they've not done it their whole life, can't move like you can move. Do you know what I mean? That's what it is.
I think it was like, oh, you can kick. And I was like, I should be able to kick. So maybe not so much as good now. But, so we did this, and Scott was in the other room, and then he come through and he knew of me. And then we just got talking, and we were there and stuff. And then I did the movie, and I did a fight scene with Scott.
And Scott's probably the biggest one from the UK, isn't he?
Yeah, he's massive. I think Scott's one of the biggest martial arts stars in the world. It's just that he's hit. If he would have been around when Van Damme was around, Van Damme wouldn't have been as big as what he is. Because obviously Scott's skill set is for me is a lot bigger and stuff.
I think it's just that though as well. It's about as well, because he is great. I've watched him. He's a great looking guy, great body. And obviously his acting's good as well, and his martial arts skills are unbelievable. You know, you've been watching him, but like you say, he's just kind of arrived in. It's a different time now, isn't there? There's loads of channels. There's like
it's just
loads of shitty B-rate films. Like before, there was just a few. They'd come out, and you'd know the martial arts stars.
I think in the 80s and 90s we were spoiled because even the B movies were great movies.
Yeah, well, a lot of them were B movies. Really, if you look back, you don't realise.
RoboCop, all them the type movies. Even I know it's like a few people would probably may disagree, but even Arnie's movies when until he started doing like Total Recall and that, they weren't like massive.
Not by today's standards.
You know, they weren't like set out to be massive A-list movies. So I just think, you know, he's just hit a wrong era, but it's worked for him. You know, he's just been John Wick 4, amazing in John Wick 4 again. He didn't even think it was him. His acting skills are phenomenal.
The only thing with Scott is he's kind of infamous more than famous, isn't he? Really, because we know we are because we're from the martial arts world. But like, you know, your missus won't know who he is. Like everyone knew who Van Damme was. Though they were like,
I think it was different times. I think because we had the magazines and we had, you know, them publications that were out there, and it was just different. And we used to buy posters of our things, and you know, I don't know if kids do that anymore. You know, and we had the accessibility through other channels of media to be able to get all that. I mean, we didn't have the internet and we didn't have stuff like that, but the stuff that we had, you purposely went out to get it. Yeah. Because you knew about it.
Everyone knew who people were, especially in the magazine. Imagine what a big deal that was. Remember when your name was in the magazines?
You'd got big in a corner and you made up.
I got a third place at an event like that. And that for you, you're a kid. That's the biggest thing ever, isn't it? Yeah. And you got corner of your head in one of the pictures. Look, I'm famous. You know?
And then, I've still got that. I've still got the cuts out at home.
Yeah.
So, but I think, you know, it's just... You know, Scott's phenomenal. You know, there's a lot of stars like that. There's a lot of people out there like that. But But it's different now. For the industry is like completely different.
Yeah,
there's
I think the whole movie industry in general isn't it? I don't think actors are paid. They're not paid as much like they used to. And
I just think the whole platform's changed.
Yeah,
so it's just yeah.
So some of the movies you've been in, are you able to tell? They've obviously been out. Do you want to tell us some of the ones you've been with? Some of the people you've worked with?
Jason Momoa, Fast 10, Aquaman.
You've been in Aquaman?
Yeah. I did stunts in Aquaman.
Did you? Brilliant.
Yeah, so I was in Fast 10. I did Final Score with Dave Bautista, Fight Dave, Gangs of London.
Gangs of London's brilliant. That fight scene, you were the butcher, wasn't it? Is that right?
Yeah. Well, I was with...
Do you want to tell us a little about the butcher scene? Because some people say that's the best fight scene that they've seen in British TV, and I would say that was...
Yeah, I was with Jason Statham the other week on a movie, and Jason said to me, it's one of his favourite fights. So.
Jason Statham said that was his favourite.
Yeah, so I was like...
Signed off by him then, that's a good thing.
So I was like... he just said he loved it and stuff, and so it's nice when you get that feedback. And I've just been with one of the American stunt guys, and he made comments about it and stuff.
So you've been quite. I spoke to you yesterday about it. Said you've been quite almost typecast now, haven't you? Because you are the baddies in the films.
I'm always
but
the bad
don't
guy.
you think the Americans love a British baddie? Do you speak in them much anyway?
Yeah. I do, and I'm usually.
Do you have to do one of those shitty American accents?
I'm usually Eastern European.
Oh, are you? Yeah, that's right. I've seen you in one when you've been Eastern European.
So,
they do like a British baddie though, don't they?
Yeah. So I mean, it's just. Do you know what? I'm quite fortunate. I've got one of them faces that seem to.
Got you in trouble when you were younger and gets you paid now.
Yeah, gets me paid now, yeah. So, but do you know what? For me, excuse me, I'm living my dream every day.
Yeah.
I was the biggest film geek when I was a kid. I worked in a video shop when I was 13. I had a part-time job in a video shop when I was 13. I've lived and breathed movies since I was a kid. I used to get up and watch Enter the Dragon and Karate Kid before I went to school. And to be doing what I'm doing now, and to be working with, having the opportunities to be working with the people I'm working with, I think in the last 12 months alone, I've probably worked with some of the biggest stars in the world.
Wow.
To the point where, I've been completely starstruck.
Who you been starstruck with?
There's quite a few.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Tom Cruise, Denzel Washington. So it's
proper A-list.
Yeah.
Movie stars.
To the point where you sort of, but even going back to the likes of, Dave Bautista, I grew up watching wrestling and stuff, and, still enjoy wrestling now. I think it's one of them things that people take for granted. But when you've got a 20-stone fella flipping himself across the ring, and the endurance that they have on top of what they do, and the craft that they're able to do, it's just phenomenal. But getting to work with Dave, and obviously Gangs of London, I got to work with Gareth Evans, who made The Raid. And the Raid for me has got a special thing in my heart, because it was the first film that me and my dad watched together since we were a kid.
Yeah.
So it was like that first martial art film again. I was like, Dad, I've got this new martial art film. It's just come out. Do you fancy watching it? My mum went shopping, and we sat down and watched it together. And it felt like what it did when I was a kid again.
Ah, brilliant.
But it was this like new genre of martial arts genre, of this like, super violent sort of martial arts movies. So to have that opportunity to then get to work with Gareth was, on Gangs of London, and that scene was, special.
Yeah.
It broke me, but it was special.
Yeah, I want to talk a little bit about that as well, because you live in your dream, and obviously but it's hard work as well. Like when I speak to you, and I spoke to you a few times, you are grafting, aren't you? Because you've got a really strict training regime as well. Yeah. Anyone who follows you on social media will see you're up at like 4 or 5 every morning, aren't you? Do you want to walk through a typical day of what you do when you're on set?
I get up at 4 every day, and I train at 5. When I'm at home, I stick to the same thing. When I'm on, if I'm on set or I'm going, I still do it. I try.
What's your training consist of?
It depends. So usually of a morning, I'll do my cardio. So I'll do bag work. I usually do about 18 rounds, including shadow boxing and stuff. I'll do. It depends what what role I'm going for as well.
Yeah, of course.
Because my size fluctuates depending on what they want.
Yeah, when gangs along, do you have to put weight on for that? You told me,
2
didn't you?
stone.
They said,
Of belly weight.
They just made you. Is that what they said? But that was fun though, wasn't it? Putting that on.
Well, I went for the audition, and obviously I knew I was going to have to strip down because I knew what was involved in the role. So I stripped down, and at the time I was proper jacked. I was in great nick, and I just thought, I've well got this. And then Gareth looked at me. He's like, I love that. He goes, if we asked you to, could you look more gorilla-like? So pronated stomach, so his stomach's more round and shoulders are big. He said, because I want this guy to look a bit more animalistic, a bit more like,
not like a trained fighter, just an absolute savage.
Yeah. So I was like, no problem. So, and then I think the hardest thing was to put that weight on. Be able to keep your cardiovascular because you're going to be on set all day. You're on set that was like 7 days.
So
12-hour days.
You know the fight scene? How long is the actual fight scene? It's quite long. It's
about 5-6 minutes, I think.
Oh, that's a long fight scene, isn't it?
Yeah.
How long would it take to film that?
We did 7 days for that.
For that one, so a whole 7 days of filming for those. Wow.
From start to finish.
And is that like, well, it's like, do you have to warm up, cool down? Like, you can't imagine at my age kicking still. Flipping out, I need a good stretch off each time.
But on top of that, like what people don't understand is that on top of that, like I'm playing this character and this character is just horrible. So you have to stay in your head horrible.
Yeah.
And angry. It just gives you migraines.
Does it?
Yeah. I mean, you imagine being angry for the whole amount of time.
Yeah.
Your head starts spinning. You're like, and you've just got to stay in this rage. And like I'd eat by myself and I try not to speak to people.
Would you try and not break out of role then?
Yeah.
So what do you do, like preparation? Because I've spoke to you before and we had quite a laugh about some of the preparation you do. Do you want to talk about that for roles?
I mean, for me, I'll watch different characters and I'll take from different people, which you think what every actor does.
Yeah.
So I see different things, and then obviously, it's performing as well, because it's like trying not to be. Like I stand and sit in front of mirrors and I'll pull faces and I'll look angry and stuff, and some of it looks like, I think on my early stuff you can see where I'm over doing stuff, and
only you'd know that because you've like crafted your art.
So, and I'm like, oh, why am I still pulling that face? Like, why am I doing that face again?
Overacting,
doing that face. And I think it's just as you grow and you grow into who you are, but then it's like training and being angry and staying in that thought process and thinking, like, you have to, like, I go into a mode where I think, right, okay, so this guy is, obviously everyone nicknamed him the Butcher. That wasn't even his name. He just got nicknamed by...
Was it?
Yeah, people just nicknamed him the Butcher. It was weird, Len the Butcher. But obviously you see me covered in blood in my underpants with wellies and a meat cleaver. And then there's this kid in the bath that's just being chopped up.
Yeah.
So it doesn't take a genius to understand what I've been doing. And I was thinking, how do I get into this? And then I thought to myself, like, obviously there's dialogue before, and I thought, do you know what? I'm gonna play it like normal, like I'm a normal person. And I think when you watch that beginning of Gangs of London, and I'm just doing the lines, I'm just doing it as if I'm me.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden there's a trigger, and I think that's where people sort of like went, oh, what's going on? This is a little bit, why isn't he like mental at the start?
Yeah.
Why isn't he like, even when I'm saying to that lad, or your dad's not gonna be happy, just pick up the money. And then I'm like, I'm picking it up myself. And it's like very sort of offhanded. And I thought, that'll sort of like make people go,
throw him a bit.
Yeah, like what's going on here? And then the minute, obviously, Shop 8 sees him in the thing, then I just change and I change. And I wanted this progression of sort of where, for me, it was like that progression of anger throughout the whole fight.
Escalation over the... Yeah.
Instead of with any fight, excuse me, with any fight, it has to tell a story. So I think back in the 80s and stuff, fights were just fights on screen, and we used to just watch them, and they were just like pointless. Whereas now there's a lot of storytelling behind the reason for a fight, and you have to know. So whether that's like the character development of the hero, whether that's, you know, telling the character development of the bad guy, you know, whether it fits into the story where he's trying to save his love interest, there has to be a reason behind. Otherwise, I think like the audience is, I wouldn't say a little bit more intelligent now, but they understand films a little bit better now. And I think if it's just the sake of a fight, they just go,
yeah, they've got to buy into it a little bit. Yeah.
So you tell it through the character development of the story, and that's down to, you know, the stunt coordinator and the fight choreographer, and they do that. It has to be purposeful, and you have to sort of have them stages, because then the audience connect to it. And I think with Gangs of London, I think you look at that series, of that episode, and the episode so sort of like, you know, you got that big bar fight, and it's like, and everyone's like, oh my God, you know, this is and then all of a sudden it comes to this like cliff edge, and it just takes this massive plunge when you introduce my character, and then all of a sudden it sort of felt like a horror movie. And I think it just played on people's emotions.
Yeah, like the fight went on forever, didn't it? And you didn't think he's going to win. He's getting absolutely hammered. The character is. You're kicking the shit out of him, and then he spins it around and finally manages. It was a fight for survival, wasn't it?
It's just, you know, I think for me, because that got voted for an Emmy for the guy that was with Men's and stuff, and to get. For a scene to be considered for a
scene rather than a film. Does that happen often?
No, I don't think so. Yeah, and especially something like that.
It was so successful, that series as well. By the way, they're making a second one. Do you know?
They've done the second, and they've just got to finish the third. I think.
But obviously you can't be in it because
I'm dead.
Yeah, damn it.
They need to bring Len's twin,
unless he didn't kill you.
I think,
and he's back. Yeah.
Len's twin. But yeah, I mean, I think at the time I was thinking, because obviously it was during COVID and stuff.
Yeah. Did you know it's going to be as big as it was?
No.
Did you?
And I didn't.
Was that that was your biggest one to date when you did it with it? Because I was like, fuck it, I said to Missy, look, I know him. That's Lee. And all the kids watched it and everything. Because I know you've done not even bit parts actually. I'd seen you in quite a few big movies. Yeah. And I didn't even know you were in them. I've gone, that's fucking Lee. Yeah. That's definitely Lee. And I'd probably text you, is that you in this? You're like, yeah.
It's funny because there's a coordinator called Tim Mann. And Tim calls me the British Al Leong. And Al Leong was, remember the Chinese guy that was in everything back in the 80s?
Yeah.
He's in like Die Hard. He was in Lethal Weapon. He was in Big Trouble in Little China. And he always says to me, he's like, you're the British Al Leong. He's like, you're just everywhere. And he goes, and the thing is, as soon as they see you, you're like, yeah, shit's going to go down now. Something's going to happen.
Do the actors think that as well? Because not all of them, because you're a real fighter as well, aren't you? Do you know what I mean? So you've got that background.
Yeah.
And some of them are not, maybe. Are they just more performance-based?
I mean, just...
Because you get right into the roles where you're quite physical, aren't you? And you, like, when you warm up, haven't you got like a set thing that you do?
I do the same thing as fighting. So it's exactly the same thing.
So as far as you're concerned, you're warming up. What do you do? Because I used to strut up and down. I'd be thinking, visualization.
My go-to thing, and it's always been my go-to thing, is from Rocky 3, when Rocky always says, you ain't so bad. So I'm walking up and down, and I'm like, and I just do it because it was my psych. It used to psych me up for my fights, and I'm just there, and I'm like, you ain't so bad. You ain't so bad.
So that's when he's fighting
Clubber Lang.
Yeah, and he's giving him everything he's got.
Yeah, and he's hitting him, and he's like, and he's just going, you ain't so bad. You ain't so bad.
And then the fight starts to turn at that point, doesn't it?
But for me, it's that association to the likes of my fighting, and I just prep the same. I think to myself, you know, it's because it's performance. Everything's a performance, and that was how I got myself into performing. That was how I got myself into my fight. That's how I take myself off, go into a room, do my rah, rah, and then come back out.
Yeah, I remember, you did actually. I remember watching you warm up at an event actually. I can't remember where it was now. It's one of the earlier times I'd watched you when you were fighting, and you were very. You were very vocal while you were warming up and everything.
Yeah. But then as soon as I stepped on the mat, I just went quiet.
Did you?
Well, until I fought and it caused chaos. but it was sort of like it's that initial boom to then go and get that calmness.
Yeah.
And I still use that. I think we all have to have that. I think everyone has a trigger that brings the best out of themselves.
Definitely. You don't want to change it if it's working for you.
Yeah, and then there's that thing. I've run to the same music since I was like 13.
Yeah.
Which is the Rocky story. Yeah. Can't run to nothing else. So I hate running. I despise running. But you know, I run to the. I said that to Stallone when I worked with Stallone on Expendables.
You've worked with Stallone as well on the Expendable movie. Amazing.
Yeah. So I want tattooed on me as well. So
did you show him that?
Well, one of the producers is like, Lee, come over and come over. Yeah.
What's he like?
Amazing. Like, yeah, he's. You know, me growing up was Bruce Lee, Jackie Chan, Arnold, Stallone.
You met Arnold?
Van Damme? No, not met Arnold.
Have you not? You met Van Damme?
Not yet. I've met Van Damme. Van Damme a few times.
Yeah. I've met him. I've worked with him before.
Yeah. So.
Yeah. I'm not sure what your experience was with him, but we won't talk about that.
But Stallone was everything I ever wanted.
Yeah.
So
is he everything you imagined he would be?
Yeah. Even like because the producer's a friend that I know who got me over. I spoke to Kevin, who's the Stallone's right hand man. He's a Scouser, to be fair.
Is he?
Yeah, his mate.
The Scousers get everywhere, don't they? Get the jobs. Blagged his way into the job somehow.
So, so I got introduced to Kevin first, and then Kevin's like, you know, when Sly comes down, I'll get you over and speak to him, and then Kevin's like, why have you got a picture of him on your arm? I was just like, he was like ripping me the way obviously they do.
Yeah.
And then I got introduced to Sly and stuff, and I was there, and then they were like, show me a tattoo. So I showed him my tattoo, and he went, how come you got Rocky tattooed on you? He said, why did you get Rocky? So he never referred to it as him.
Did he not?
No, he referred to it as his character.
So he doesn't, okay.
So I was like, I said, I just think Rocky had more of an influence on me growing up with what I was doing and, you know, where I was from. And I said, you know, I think it touched me a little bit different. He said, it's really funny. He said, because on this side of the Atlantic, everyone's for Rocky. He said, where in America and stuff, everyone's for Rambo.
Are they?
Yeah. He said, and I find it really interesting that how that is. He said, because obviously Rambo is very patriotic and you know, he's the savior.
He's got nothing else apart from that. He served his country and he's been abandoned. Yeah.
He said, but a lot of people on this side of the Atlantic in Europe and stuff all relate to Rocky. And I said, for me, you know, it was my upbringing.
Yeah.
It was where I was from. You know, it was always having that sort of, you know, you had to be who you were because of where you were from. And it sort of broke the mold, and it just sort of changed and gave me something a little bit different. And I didn't see it at the time, and I don't think you do when you're a kid. I don't think you realise that these films have such a massive impact on who you are as a character.
Absolutely,
as well.
Yeah.
And I think, you know, I think that's very underplayed as well. It's very, you know, for me, if I hadn't watched that Bruce Lee movie when I was a kid, I never would have done martial arts. You know, if I hadn't watched The Big Boss when I was a kid, I never would have done martial arts. So for me, it's just, you know, it's probably down to movies that's created me to who I am and where I am today.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So
brilliant, mate. Really interesting story, mate. Great life you've had. Like, what is next then? Like, because how old are you now, if you don't mind me asking?
I'm 48. I'm 50 next year, though. So I'm 49 this year. I'm 50 next year.
So you're 49 this year. So you're a couple of years older than me. I'm 47, 48 in December.
Yeah.
So, yeah, but you're in great nick still. I mean, I know you've been moaning a little bit about aches and pains because I know how active you are on set. And you're saying like it's hard work.
Yeah.
But have you still got a good few years? Because you're like reaching a pinnacle now. You're getting more and more successful.
Yeah.
And it's a shame for like age to like you're peaking, you know, with your career before you are over when you are physically. Do you know what I mean?
I think for me, as long as I'm maintaining what I need to do, and I know what I'm capable of doing. I mean, I'm not going to do stunts that I know that are just going to break me, you know, and you just got to be honest. You got to be honest with yourself, and you know, you got 20-year-old kids to do that. You know, some of the performers that I'm around, I swear to God, they're just phenomenal. Like the stuff that they can do is just like unbelievable. Like, you know, I look at them and I'm just like, wow.
Yeah.
Like, honestly, like completely unbelievable. You know, I was with one of my mates, JJ, you know, like he's, you know, phenomenal. Craig, Cannon, you know, I could list like loads of, you know, really, really top performers. You know, obviously I've not said them too because I've just been with them. You know, I was with Ruda on, I nearly slipped up then, on another movie I just done. I'm very, very close, you know, very close. And you just see these people and you like, for me, they keep me going. So they make me get up at 4 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, I need to keep on top of my game. And as long as I keep on top of my game and I'm able to be able to still do what I'm doing and I give something different than what they do. You know, I can't do 720s and spins and stuff like that. But you want me to smash through that or get smashed onto that desk or you need someone to get kicked and I can perform, I can act as well, which is, you know.
And the baddies need to be a bit older, I think, so you can kind of if they're too young, they're not gonna.
Yeah, as long as I'm not like Liam Neeson's age and still trying to be able to do it. So
less convincing, wasn't it, on some of his recent?
I just think, I don't mean that in that terms. I mean, obviously, I don't want to get to 70 and still be trying to do. So for me, what's next? I don't know. I mean, I've got some really, really big things coming out in the next 12 months.
Brilliant.
In November, I've got a sequel coming out to one of the biggest movies ever made.
Oh, I think, I may have heard a rumour about that. Am I allowed to say what I think? Can I guess? Or not? No? Is it The Gladiators? Maybe. A second one being made? Maybe. I've heard a rumour somewhere. I don't know if it's that or if that is you're in it or not, but I have possibles, but you can't. No comment on that one.
No comments. But,
okay.
But you know, I've got in the next 12 months, I've got some really big things coming out.
And if anyone deserves it, you do. Do you know what I mean? Flipping out, you've gone from being world's biggest fight fan and movie fan to being the one that everyone's looking up to now as well. And you've also got your own martial arts centre as well. Do you want to just mention a little bit about that?
Yeah,
where that is?
Lee Charles Martial Arts, which is on the Whittle. And my main process for me to still be doing it, obviously, is for my little boy and my stepson and my stepdaughter. So Malachi, Zach, and Macy. Because if I didn't mention yous, I know you. You that one for me.
They all train at your school.
They all train at school.
Ah, brilliant.
But my main thing for my school is my give back. I think everyone should have that give back. And if I hadn't have done what I did, I wouldn't be where I am today. And I think the martial arts gives you the. Excuse me. It gives you a set of skills that nothing else can give you. It helps create this sort of unbreakable spirit. It helps you create this thing because, you know, the world is horrible and people are constantly going to say no to you and people are going to constantly knock you down and people are going to constantly say that you're not good enough and you can't do this and stuff like that. And the one thing that I thought martial arts gave me was this spirit where I believed that nothing was impossible if I kept on doing it and kept on working for it. Like when I started off fighting, I wasn't the greatest fighter. I used to get beat all the time. People always say to me, you know, how many fights did you win? And I'm like, I could probably better tell you how many fights I lost. I just got good at not getting beat.
Yeah.
I just learned to understand how to win.
Yeah.
And I think the martial arts, even when the kids come into the school, I try and program that way. And I tried to say, obviously, the thing about the martial arts is that when you first come in, you'll see the instructor do a roundhouse kick, and you're like, I can't do that. I hate that word. I hate that word. Can't do that. It's like you haven't even tried. At least try and fail.
Yeah.
And I don't mean try and fail once. I mean try and fail 20,000 times.
Yeah.
And then after 20,000 times, then I might allow you to say, well, I can't do this. But I won't allow you to say you can't do it because you need to continue doing it. You know, like I say all the time, do you think David Beckham just went on a football pitch, kicked the ball once and turned into one of the greatest players of all time?
He's obsessed with it, apparently. He's probably tens of thousands of hours.
His dad used to take him onto a golf course and chip onto the green, to the pin.
Oh, there you go.
You know, so it's like, you know, your Ronaldo's, you know, do you think you know, the Formula One drivers, you know, what's his name? Lewis Hamilton, do you think he just got into a car and was able to drive? It's like, people don't understand the process, and for me, being able to teach kids and give them that sort of that confidence, that where you suddenly start going to believe in yourself that nothing's impossible. I always say, You can achieve, and the only person that can ever stop you achieving anything is you. I honestly believe that, because the only person that could ever give up on you is you. And the minute you give up on yourself, everything else stops.
Yeah.
The minute you go, okay, you know, it doesn't matter how many people say no. It doesn't matter how many people turn you back. It doesn't matter how many times you fail. It's that keep going. And if you keep going and you keep believing and having that believability in yourself, someone will see you. Someone will say to you, okay, I'll take a chance on this person, or I'll give this person the opportunity to be able to do it. Because honestly, it's like whatever you want to do in life or whatever you want to achieve from your life is down to you. And I think we live in a world where people just quit, especially now. I think we're at a worse stage than that we've ever been. And, you know, and it's like the amount of people are like, you know, it's like, well, why don't you give it? Well, I can't. You know, I'm going to look stupid. To who? Who are you going to look stupid to?
Yeah.
Like, does it matter? And then people, you know, putting money on your table, and then people feeding your kids. It's like, it's that mindset where I just think it built this thing in me where the amount of no's I've had in auditions and stuff, just, I always see it as for every time someone says no, I'm one step closer to someone saying yeah. And I've always believed that. I've always believed that. And I set a mindset in myself where I go, and I don't care what anyone says. And the most of my friends that are close to me, I'll go, I'm going to work with this actor. I'm going to work with this actor, and this is what I'm going to do. And I remember people used to go to me, what? Who do you think you are? And I'm like, I'm going to do it. And now I have people, I used to have the Expendables poster from the cinema up in my old dojo, my massive dojo. It used to be hanging from the ceiling. It was probably, I don't know, it was probably twice the size of this. And I remember when Stallone put a video on Instagram, and I had a lad that trained with me 12 years ago message me and go, have I just seen you in Stallone's thing? And I was like, yeah. And he's like, are you on a new Expendables movie? And I was like, oh, I can't say, but obviously I am. And he goes, I remember you saying to me in 2010 that you would be in an Expendables movie. And I was like, did I? And he went, honestly, he said, whether you were saying it in jest or whether you were saying it as a passing comment, you said that in 2010. And he went, and now you're there. Now you're in it. And I was like, I don't know. And it just must have been that mindset, like where I think if you have that believability in yourself to be able to go and achieve, and I don't, you know, even if it's a shortfall from what you want to do, you still, if you set the bar that high, then when you fail,
you're failing high. You're
still failing high. You're still failing like on this massive scale.
It's a great way of
and that's
looking at stuff.
I have that all the time. You know, has life been easy? No. You know, has this journey from what I've been doing been easy? No. You know, I haven't been able to afford hotels and slept in a car and a lay-by for 7 nights. Did I tell anyone when I was doing it? No, I didn't, because it's part of the process. You know, but I honestly believe that without that martial arts, I couldn't have stayed in that car. I couldn't have slept in that car. I would have just gone, no, I can't do it. I can't do the job. I've got nowhere to stay. But it gave me something else. It gave me the ability to believe that this was part of a whole process that was going on.
Brilliant, mate. Well, what a great way to kind of round off the podcast, mate. That's a really great little bit to finish off on there.
Thank you.
You're right, getting that mindset correct and being able to pass that on to your students as well and teach them by living it. Because that's the one way to really teach is by leading from the front, which you definitely have. Being the ultimate student and now all the way through to movie star, which is what you are, which everyone in the UK is proud of you. Everyone knows you. So it's a very tight community, isn't it? Martial arts community. Yeah. We all know each other, good, the bad and the ugly. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. So it's been great to have you on.
Thank you.
I'm proud to call you a friend. I've known you a long time and I appreciate your time today. Thanks, Lee.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Cheers. Thanks for having me.
Cheers, mate.
So.